Okay, give me a second so we get started. Okay, all right. So good evening, everybody. And good morning, some of you who have also logged in from the US. So let's begin the proceedings. So I would like to welcome each and every one of you for logging in to this webinar. Of course, we have sent this through a lot of short notice, and we've not been able to remind you. Of course, human beings need a lot of reminders to be done. So it's been a hectic day for me. I know under what circumstances I've been able to set up a laptop because it all crashed. My hard disk crashed, and I somehow managed to lose a lot of data. And it's been a little, hectic day. But okay, I've been able to save some data, and then I'm still setting up things. So I'm extremely apologetic towards it, and sorry for the inconvenience. So we've got another 45 minutes. So I would like to quickly run through some of the things that you have already understood. So I'm not going to take a time because at 8 p.m. IST, we have another webinar, and I have the compulsions to finish it off by 7:55 p.m. IST. So all the people who have already been listening to various webinars on various topics, so thank you very much for being here. It's a repetition, but it's a very good revision, because every now and then we will tend to forget the things that we have learned, and then it's a good refresher. And for all the people who have logging in for the first time, a very, very warm welcome to you. I'm sure at the end of the webinar, you probably will be a little bit confused, because there's a lot that probably you might explore today in this webinar. So I'll go a little fast today. I've got a lot of slides that I need to cover, and we are recording this. I'll probably edit the first half a little bit, and then I'll put it on the YouTube as well. So if you want to catch up again later, you can. So my name is Stan Serrao. I'm the chairman and managing director of Welocity Genetics. We started way back in 2016, commercially rolled out our operations in 2017. So it's been our 6th year. And what a journey it has been. So, it's been really fascinating. I've been in Delhi for the last 5 days, and I had a lot of discussion with a few renowned medical doctors there. And today I also attended a webinar of some other organization which is now rolling out genetics. And then I was extremely happy, because all the medical doctors who are associated in this project, who are all, veterans working and serving people for the last 3 or 4 decades, are actually speaking what we've been speaking for the last 6 years. So it's an endorsement of what the medical fraternity is thinking of, and I think we are far ahead from them. So my topic today is what is yes, Rohit, you're right. Okay, so today we're going to talk about the genetic revolution. Why do we really call it a genetic revolution? Way back, in the late 90s, I think we talked about internet being a revolution. And is it a revolution? Of course, a big yes. Our life has completely transformed with a lot of things that we are doing today. Communication is instant. People from across the world can listen to me right now, sitting from any part of the world. So we are now here for a big revolution that's going to happen in the field of health and wellness. And genetics is actually the catalyst. It's actually transforming the way medical fraternity is looking at treatment. Or, one of the renowned veteran doctor today made a statement saying that the future of medicine is genetics, because unless and until you really know what to administer to a patient without really getting the adequate bio information, you probably will be hitting, in the dark, and it may and may not work. So we don't really have the patience, and we don't really have the so many other things to really go through that experiment anymore. So today I'm going to talk about where the genetic revolution is making a lot of impact. The first thing is in our food, diet, and nutrition. Gone are the days where people experimented. Today, everybody wants personalized nutrition, because we all know that we are all unique, not from a motivational or life skills point of view. We are all unique in terms of our biology as well. Our thumbnail is different than others, so we very comfortably put a thumbnail and endorse a lot of properties or a lot of financial transactions if you are illiterate, or wherever it's required. It's our iris in our eye is different, and that's why we do immigration and maybe so many other procedures, because it's very, very unique. It can be traced to the last person, or exactly the same person. So if we are also different, how can our food be almost the same? We cannot. We have managed it till now, but with the lifestyle being so drastically different than what it was earlier, we got to be very careful now, because today we are not eating food, we are eating food products which have been processed. So which is the right food for us, which is the right supplement for us, which is the right treatment for us? So we can have a lot of things asked in terms of personal information. So the first one is majority of our health depends on the kind of food that we eat, our diet patterns. And if you see across the world, there are so many diet patterns. So Mediterranean diet is supposed to be one of the healthiest because of so many leafy vegetables, olive oil, and so many other stuff. So what's good? What's my food diet nutrition? Is it burger, pizzas, or all junk food with calorie rich, with zero nutrition? What's the right medicine for me? Okay, so we need to be really asking it. Reproduction, genetics is contributing a lot. There are so many cases where there are high risk pregnancies, or people losing, or rather, the couples losing their children at a young age. There are so many medical conditions that children are born with. So reproduction area is also, genetics is making an impact. Anti-aging and lifespan. There is a slide which you will see in the future, in the coming slides, that we can now live for 500 and 1,000 years. If I ask you who would like to do it, I'm sure we all would like to live longer. But what are we doing right now to live longer? We are doing exactly the opposite. So genetics is throwing a lot of light on what we should be doing ideally to live longer and expand our lifespan. And longevity is one of the boon that we can get from genetics. People would like to look beautiful. Everybody would like to be appreciated for being handsome, or for being pretty. So genetics can contribute to have a very vibrant skin, a very healthy skin. And that's happening through genetics. In the area of sports, what are you really meant for? Are you, let's say, if you're talking about soccer, are you a striker, defender, midfielder, all that? Where does these specialities come from? By understanding your genetics. Genetics can not only be helpful for human beings, but it can also be very helpful for pets and the animal kingdom. And if you're talking about a big corporate who would like to recruit a lot of people, we can now have genetic testing done and then check their not only physical traits, but also psychological traits. Can they work under pressure? Can they manage emotions? Are they good teamwork, team players? All these psychological traits, okay, are they foodies, or do they require too much of an attention? All that can be found out through psychological traits, and which is very handy for corporate. And then, we can also now look at oil and how the whole economy runs, oil economy runs, and what's really coming up with electric vehicles, driverless vehicles. So there's a transformation happening there. So oil could probably be now manufactured in every household, because that technology of converting any liquid into oil can be derived from the science of genetics. And so is electricity and matchmaking and so many other things. So the list goes on. So I'd like to now touch upon a few things. So what's happening in the world of genetic revolution? Why it's called a genetic revolution? Because it's putting a very, very hard and a kind of a transformational and a completely a paradigm shift kind of an impact in various aspects, as I mentioned to you. And then if you get into the details, you'll understand what we are doing. So right now, what we are doing is that the fundamental thing is reading DNA. We all have DNA. I'll come to what DNA is. So that reading of the DNA. So there's some kind of machines, some kind of technology that helps us understand and read the DNA. Using that DNA, I can understand myself better. But then now there is also technology which actually helps you read, or not just read, but write the DNA. So that means you can you can write the DNA. So there's writing of the DNA that can be done and then could be inserted in the biological organisms, and they can make gene expression, and there could be a different outcome of that method. And third, of course, is that you can also edit a DNA, like what we edit, like how we edit a document in a laptop. We can now delete and insert DNAs and genes, and then we can have this. So there are various stages of DNA, but right now let's only restrict to reading of the DNA. But in this webinar, I'm going to take you through as to what's really happening in the world of genetics. And then I'll explain to you as to what Welocity Genetics is doing and how understanding our own genes can help us live a better informed and a healthier, longer, happier life. So as I said, DNA stands for deoxyribonucleic acid. So this is what we have. So if you understand the human anatomy, so the human anatomy is the body is made up of systems. Systems are made up of organs. Organs are made up of tissues, and tissues are human cell. So a typical human cell would also have chromosomes. Now you get 23 into 2 chromosome sets. One comes from your biological father, and the other set of 23 chromosomes comes from your biological mother. And this, if you can actually decode it, it's a word that we all use in day-to-day life. So this chromosome, when you decode it, you will actually find DNA into it. So deoxyribonucleic acid, it's nothing but a lot of proteins. Now in this DNA, you can actually see a genes. Now what is a gene? It's a segment of a DNA, and in that DNA you can see letters, alphabets here called A, T, T, A, G, C, etc. So there are 4 nucleotides, which is nothing but A, T, C, G, A, T, C, G, adenine, thymine, cytosine, and guanine. So these are the fundamental elements like alphabets in any language. So we have 23 chromosome pairs, more than 20 to 25. So on an average, around 23,000 genes that are found in the human genome till now. Each gene would have 3.3 billion nucleotide pairs. So 3.3 billion is more than 600 crores, billions, and they're coding for more than 5 lakhs of proteins that actually determine certain, activities or functions in our body. So now let's understand. When you have a novel or everything, so it's all documented. So there is some documentation is happening here. If you want to go for a building that you want to construct, so there's something called a blueprint here. And if you want to play some music, there is also the music notation here. So, these are all organized in such a way that you actually know what the outcome is. So what's the blueprint of our life? So that's exactly what DNA is. So DNA is not a new phenomenon. It started way back in 1865 with Gregor Mendel. He is an Austrian monk who started, experimenting about the peas, or the watana, the mutton peas. So from there has been a lot of research that was happening in the field of plant kingdom. But in 1990, the government, you can see the chronological developments in the field of genetics. So let's really go through a quick journey of what really happened. The genetic modification began, and it was long before today. As I said, 1865 it started. You can now see various foods that we are consuming, including a few animals, whether it's chicken or pigs, etc. So the wild banana looked like this earlier. It was not consumed by human beings. But later it was understood that, it has a lot of nutrition. So it was modified, and the genetics of this modified. So today we get this modern way of, cultivating bananas, which are more softer, sweeter, and they can go quickly. So these are cultivated bananas. So there's a lot of things that are happening in the field of genetics as well. In way back 1960s, scientists actually found out that because of the radiation, there are some genetic changes that are happening in the plant kingdom. We all understand how important the sunlight is for the plants. In 1970s, DNA was inserted into the cells of the plants, and it was studied, and they found out there are certain changes that happen. So in 1974, from the plant kingdom, they came into the human, the animal kingdom. And the first genetically modified animal, unfortunately, every time it's a mouse, they're the guinea pig. So it was genetically modified, and they actually found out a lot of things that are changing. In the animal kingdom today, you get a lot of tomatoes, especially in the US and the Western world, and this genetically modified Fruits are coming also into the India, and then they are now being exported across the world. So you will now have bigger size tomatoes. They're not easily perishable, and you could actually keep it outside of your refrigerator for a week or so, or even 15 days, and they don't get rotten. So that the utility of a fruit now becomes for a longer duration, and you will now be able to commercially exploit the crops much better. So this happened way back in 1994. Today these kind of innovations are happening in various fields. So there's golden rice. So the rice, you can see there are different types of rices. So there's one crop that also is golden rice, which is very rich in vitamin A. So you actually are now taking vitamin A as, the medical fraternity might tell you as a supplement, but you're actually eating your staple food, and you will be able to get your own deficient supplement or, vitamin through eating a staple food. There are also various kinds of tomatoes that are being now cultivated, which would have the genetics, I'm sorry, you would have a lot of nutritional deficiencies that can be inculcated into the crop itself. Scientists have also come with various kinds of blueberries, and a lot of experimentation is happening in the field of fruits, so that the day-to-day diet patterns of the people are rich in the nutrition, and you can pick and choose the kind of food that you will have. It's not just a visual treat to have various kinds of fruits and vegetables that are happening, that are available, but it also is giving you the adequate nutrition that is required. Now look at this slide. So the pigs earlier, which were not growing so fast and not being bulky, now using genetics are being grown in such a way that they are commercially viable to the people who are into this business. So you can see a salmon, earlier it was in a smaller size, but now the same salmons can be now grown in bigger size, so that probably you can use it for krill oil and a lot of other types of human consumption. You can also now have transparent frogs, so you can actually see what's happening inside their body. The complete digestive system can be transparently visible, and the way it's being digested. How does it happen? Changing the genes and then experimenting with what's happening in the field of genes. Same way, you will have featherless chicken that are being grown, so which is also innovation. So there are also 3-parent child with genetic modification of the embryo that have been happening. It's making some news. I'm trying to take you through certain wild things that are being implemented, so then I'll narrow it down to how it's going to be beneficial to you and me. We can now also have, you can go to countries like Maldives and then see all kinds of fishes that are there while doing snorkeling. But you can also have some of these fishes in your own aquarium at home, because genetically modified fishes are also available. You can have zebra kind of fish. You can have, fishes that are glow in the dark, so that you can have some fun. So you can also have the kittens or the cats, which are having a natural glow, like what do you have, this jugnu, or the this insect that appears in the rainy season. So the genes of that particular insect have been now incorporated in a cat, and then you can now find your cat in the midnight anywhere in your house. You don't really need to you need to use your torch, or you need to switch on your light. So it's possible. And they could be, you must have seen some small children wear shoes where there are some lights that have been there. So it's easy to trace them, or, it has music and light. So these kind of things now happen naturally in a living organism. Yeah. So the glowworm is what we get in the rainy season. So what really happened in the 1990s is that, the slide that I showed you from 82 onwards, from 83 onwards, there have been so many things that are happening. And the government of America decided that we need to really experiment and then go ahead and then find out in details. So in 1990, they constituted a committee, and then they created this project called the Human Genome Project. There were scientists, researchers, statisticians, physicians, engineers, and all kinds of experts from various streams from 18 different countries. They spent around $3.2 billion US. And from 1990 till around 2003, so within 13 years, they could have some major breakthrough, and they could actually find out a technology to read a person like a book using all this information that I told you. So today, the FDA of USA approves the first consumer DNA test for disease risk. So you can analyze your disease risk using the genetic testing. So this is exactly what has happened. Now, just to take you through how it's going to be happening. For example, let's assume that this is our small intestine. Now, this is how a normal intestine looks like. You can see a lot of villi which are actually absorbing all the nutrition that's been digested and then, in an absorbable form in our intestine, smaller intestine. But really just consider that because of the food habits, because of a lot of lifestyle related issues like addictions, too much of a medications, your intestine becomes this way. So the villi which are supposed to absorb the nutrition are no more able to do that, and they have become flat. So this condition is called a celiac disease. Celiac disease is not really talked about in the medical world yet, but people are talking about the expression of the celiac disease. It could be IBS, irritable bowel syndrome, it could be acidity, it could be colon cancer, it could be burping, bloating, indigestion, all these kind of things. So there are as many as 70, 80 different symptoms of a celiac disease. Unfortunately, today people are still looking at treating those symptoms, but not really finding out as to what the root cause is. The root cause is celiac disease, and in India it's growing in a phenomenal rate even across the world. So friends, the imminent threat of celiac disease in India, if you see what the kind of number of patients we had in 1960s, now it has actually gone multifold because this is happening. In 2017, for example, if this lady was 93 years, now she probably is almost ready to saying that, okay, my innings is over and then I'm done for my life. So she probably will divide her property and then give some advice to her children and grandchildren. But behold, lo and behold, there is a hope that if you can live for a few more years, somehow you have a hope that probably you will be able to live for 500 and 1,000 years. It might look very funny or a mythological story, but by 2045, all the researchers in the genetic field are trying to find out as to why people are dying. Majority of the people are dying because of disease. How about the eradicating diseases, or saying that, okay, this disease will not kill people anymore. You will definitely be living longer. If you're really worried about, how long, if the population of the world is increasing, planet Earth is increasing, don't worry about it. Elon Musk is planning to also have inhabitation of the people in Mars. So we probably might find out some other place also, and maybe there could be skyscrapers everywhere, even in the rural area. So don't worry about it. In the city, we feel we are very congested, we're crowded. So when you go down or take a train or a, in the suburbs, you will see that, there's a lot of empty fields. So this also is possible. So longevity is a promise. So, 1,000 years is now possible. Want to live 1,000 years? Be careful what you wish for. The genetic world and researchers might just simply say tatastu, and you may have to manage your life better. You can't be just managing your life for 60, 70, 80, 100 years, or even 120 years. So this is Aubrey de Grey. He actually is a scientist. He's an English, researcher. So he is right now residing in California, and then he's now saying the aging process can be delayed, and we might definitely be talking about the chronological age and also the biological age. So if our organs are more aged than what their chronological age is, so that's where anti-aging comes into picture, or other aging comes into picture. So there are a couple of videos that you can see about anti-aging and human longevity project, and how genetics is contributing. So Google says humans could live for 500 years and is investing in firms hoping to extend our lives 5-fold. So it's not about Shatayu, 100 years living. It's about 500 years now. I don't really know what the word is that for. So Human Longevity is company where Craig Venter, now this person's name is Craig Venter. And by the way, he is the first person who was completely sequenced, or, his genetics were completely read. And of course, he still lives. So human longevity has sequenced over 35,000 full human genomes to date. And this is a few years back. And the entire genomic information, the bioinformation of a genetics runs into a some 4.2 petabyte. Now, what does that petabyte mean? I understand the MBs, the megabyte and the gigabytes, but put a lot of things together, it's petabyte. Just Google and then find out. It's too much of an information. So doctors in China lead the race to treat cancer by editing genes. So in oncology, I mean, today I was listening to the doctors, even in India, the oncology, oncologists actually are resorting to genetic information so that they'll be able to find out as to what's the line of treatment, what's the dosage of radiation and chemotherapy, and what kind of drugs suit to a particular human genetic makeup. In fact, it's been now found out more than 150 genes are determining what kind of medicines that needs to be administered. So if there is a mutation, if there is a kind of a genetic code that exists in my body, I'm not able to digest certain medicine, and it's of no use that I'm given that medicine. So that can be found out through pharmacogenomics. So Chinese scientists are using CRISPR gene editing on 86 human patients. So they're also trying to find out ways in various patients as to what's the right treatment that can be done. So CRISPR-Cas9 is a gene editing technology that can help us. Doctors successfully treat 2 babies with leukemia and using gene edited immune cells. And in India, I heard today that there are 10,000 thalassemia patients of children that are being born every year. So we are piling up a lot of people with thalassemia, but there is absolutely no solution in the allopathic world. So they're actually looking at now finding out them and then giving them treatment and then trying to avoid that kind of situation where these children are born. So it's happening at a prenatal stage. So FDA also approved first gene therapy for leukemia. So you can see this, and it can also help us in understanding our ophthalmologic medical conditions, whether it's cataract and so many other things. So you can see here, macular degeneration. So this is one, major disease that's there, especially in women. So gene therapy may have its first blockbuster. So Novartis actually is investing a lot of money. In fact, one of the drugs that they've invented is costing as high as $2.125 million US. So that's a huge lot of money. It's not into the public domain yet. So there are efforts being made to bring it down to layman's use. So anti-aging, if you see, if you're using a shampoo, there are so many varieties. Shampoo for dark skin or hard skin, or this different kind of skins. A different kind of hair. Or if you're using a soap, you're using it based on your skin. So you can see various brands of shampoos and soaps that are being done. So, it's for silky hair, for hard hair, or, for strong hair. All this is happening within one shampoo. Earlier, probably people were not even, using shampoo. So if there is so much of a customization that's happening, it should be happening in every field. So DNA profiling paving the way in personalized beauty. So companies like Olay, these are all now using genetics to understand people's skins and their related issues. And they're coming out now with different kinds of specialized precision, products. So DNA test will tell you which workout diet is perfect for you. We can't now just be considering that, if I just do a lot of physical activities, it's going to be the right exercise for us. It's not, because we need to really understand a genetic makeup and then understand what's the right exercise for you, because there are broadly 2 kinds of exercise. One is intensive kind of an exercise where your heart rate goes really up. The other one is endurance kind of an exercise, which could be yoga and a lot of stretching, etc. I mean, the other day I conducted a 3 days program. In one day we had Zumba sessions for an hour, which is very sensitive, very intensive. And in Gurgaon, in around 2 degrees Celsius temperature, people are sweating it out. The next day we had yoga through a celebrity fitness trainer, and there's a lot of stretching. It's endurance. It's about your breathing. It's about your stamina. So we need to really understand what's my genetic makeup so that I can get the right exercise. So the future diet will look like this. Maybe this is your breakfast, this is your lunch, and this could be something you will have for dinner. Because at the end of the day, your body does not live on the piles of food that you eat. It also, it lives purely on the nutrition. And if you're able to provide this nutrition at the right dosage, in the right format, and I think your body is going to be sustaining. So there are so many things that I want to quickly go through, because I just want to tell you as to how understanding our genes, how does it narrow down to using for us as individuals. So for example, companies like Nestle are actually now doing a lot of artificial intelligence and genetics combined work to bring in the right diets for people of various kinds. So you can now get gluten-free, of course, we understand sugar-free products, but now you understand that you will also have gluten-free, lactose-free, caffeine-free kinds of products. And this is based on the genetic research people are doing. So people can also get the right match based on the personality trait and so many other matchmaking parameters that people are doing, and that you can do it now not through unscientific matchmaking that happens on a religious basis, but right now through bio information. So you can understand if your spouse is short-tempered or very aggressive, very romantic, or so many other things. You can be doing it very scientifically, and you can find an ideal and a right soulmate, so that your marriage becomes like an institute, and probably you'll enjoy the bliss of marriage till the couples leave. So the perfect medication also is around the corner, and this is happening also because of the genetic insight. And the offspring or the children that people, couples want to have now, they can also have a say in their various aspects. So this is called the designer babies. So people today, it's only affluent people can manage now, but it's very definitely going to come into the public domain as well in the future, so that you can have a child with high IQ. The child will never go bald. It will have a perfect 20/20 vision and a perfect pitch in terms of the personality, increased energy levels so they can sustain the stress levels of the modern age, and they can also reduce all the risk of diabetes, hypertension, obesity, Alzheimer's, etc. They can digest milk properly, and they can even be a sprinter and can beat Carl Lewis or Usain Bolt in the future. Just trying to exaggerate, but yes, you can actually get a child of your dream, like an ideal child, because you can actually now use make-up genetics. And of course, it has already happened in China. There were 2 genetic babies. So these are actually the designer babies. You can see how beautiful they are. The scientist was arrested later because of unethical practice, and he's now out, but the China government is keeping a close watch that yes, these kind of things should not be exploited, because human creation is natural. If you tinker with it, there could be a lot of ethical, unethical issues. So this is the scientist. You can find him out. And they also cloned monkeys, so that that's a very interesting thing. So in future, you probably may not have street lamps or street lights, so we probably will have trees which will be glowing at night. That kind of genetic information is been extracted from other species and other living organisms, and been infused in trees, which can reduce the use of electricity, and then they can be also look beautiful when you are driving. So you can also have zebra crossing through genetic variations that can happen, and then you could have these kind of things coming up. You can also probably have a kitchen garden and stuff like this, which is glowing, and you probably will rave about it because you have something which is genetically modified. I talked about CRISPR, so let's not get detail into it. We probably can find this out in the course that we are doing. Last 2 years have been all about genetics in the Nobel Prize. The 2020 Nobel Prize is when won. First time 2 women winning a Nobel Prize together in 2020 for this CRISPR-9 technology. And last year, or rather this year, we had Svante Pääbo winning this for the theory of evolution based on genetics. So as I said, the animals are being modified. The human embryo can be modified. The people can actually now find out so many things about designer babies. The astronauts are using genetic research to be carrying lesser food and then eating the nutrition that they want, and so many other things. So the sports people can do genetics and then find out what are their traits. Should I be a bowler or a fast bowler, or a seamer or a spinner or a wrist spinner, based on the genetic traits? They may not be very athletic, but muscular, but they may be very intelligent, and all these things put together, they can design their specialty. So now, friends, let's come to as to how all this information is relevant to us. One thing that we have heard right from the beginning is that prevention is better than cure. COVID-19 taught us saying that prevention is not just better, it's also cheaper, because one thing that we all need to pay attention to is our immunity. And we don't care about it unless something really stuck, attacks us. For example, if you go to a multiplex and as long as the movies go on and nothing happens, that's fine. But one day if there's a fire, will be looking out for fire extinguisher. And if the multiplexes are not equipped with the fire extinguishers, it could be a chaos and it could be a human disaster. So you all need to have, or the multiplexes or all the structures need to have all the technology, all the ammunition for disaster management. So that's why there are certain norms that we all need to follow. Same way, the human body also might have some attack, but where are our immunity? Where is our immunity? So the immunity is something that we need to be taking care of. So the DNA structure that I talked about is, this is how the DNA structure looks like. It's called a DNA helix. And this has adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine. So, these are the two double-stranded structure, that's DNA structure. And in 1962, James Watson, Francis Crick, and Maurice Wilkins actually won the Nobel Prize because they discovered DNA structure. And ever since then, there has been some major breakthrough in the medical fraternity. Why the mouse is always a guinea pig for all experiments? Because the mouse matches human genome to the extent of 92%. While chimpanzee is 98%, and no wonder we do like chimpanzees most of the time, except that we've got intelligent, we can smile and we can think and we can be civilized, citizens of respective countries. But all the living organisms also have DNA. Plants have 18%, yeast have 26%, because they also breathe, they also reproduce, but they can't move, and so many other characteristics. So what percent of your genes you match with your parents, with your siblings, with your spouse? Spouse come from a different family. And if there is a marriage happening in the same family or relatives, we have seen a higher risk of genetic disorders because of the mutations that happen. So this is how the designer babies can be done. But this article in Times Magazine in the US actually talked the, started the debate in the medical fraternity. And that is, if you can able to find your genetic code right from the very young age, you have a chance of living a better, healthier, and a longer life, simply because you know what your strengths are and what your weaknesses are. We can find out what are your triggers, or what are you susceptible to. So what are your predispositions for various diseases, because you are not, being delivered by Amazon or Flipkart. You have been biologically born through your father and mother. So that means you carry their genes. And once you carry their genes, you also carry with you the risk factors for various genetic diseases. So in India, the DNA technology has been regulated by the government way back in July 25, 2019, but this is restricted to the forensic science. But while the address is being given by Dr. Harshvardhan, our ex-health minister, he says very clearly, and you can Google this and find out in YouTube, that he says DNA is the future. DNA mapping across population and people who are patients is very, very key. So friends, just to give you a demonstration, look at Sachin Tendulkar and family. That's his son. At a young age, he was much shorter, but now look at his height. He shoot up like a Chinese bamboo. How it did happen? Both Anjali Tendulkar and Sachin Tendulkar much shorter than him. Why does it happen? That's because of genetics. Somebody in his generation, in grandparents or grand-grandparents has this height gene. So that is being expressed. This is the Kapoor family, people who believe that they are foodies, and they also come with a lot of diseases. So what does this really mean is, and these are all some of the celebrities who lost their life because of sudden cardiac arrest, and their genetics has to do it. They didn't probably do a genetic testing, and they didn't really have a time. So there are certain diseases where you don't really have a time to understand all this. So friends, today we're going to talk about how genetics is helping us understand our health and lifestyle better. Genetics is like a loaded gun that in itself will not kill you, but the triggers is what is required, and the trigger is the lifestyle. So what's our lifestyle? Our food, nutrition. So these are all the triggers that we have. Our nutrition, are we eating balanced food or junk food? Are we consuming proper water with alkalinity into it? Are we eating, drinking all kinds of aerated drinks, which are very, very tasty, but nasty to the body? They're creating a havoc inside us, and then they're not helping us in any way. Are we breathing the clean air, or we are conditioned through air conditions and so many other air coolers and everything? So the pollution in India especially is a big challenge, and it's also happening in other countries as well. What's our exercise regimen? Are we exercising? Do we have physical activities? Can we get into a physical activity? Yesterday, I received a video which says there are 4 people playing tennis in Dubai, in UAE, and one of them collapses and then dies out sudden cardiac arrest. A very fit guy 5 minutes before. So what explains the genetic, what explains this kind of a medical condition? If this person had done a genetic testing 5 years before, he probably wouldn't play that kind of a sport. Rather, he'll play chess or some non-incentive activities, having known his risk factor for this kind of medical conditions. And of course, everything put together, the lifestyle, which is a very, very big loaded word, comes with a lot of addictions and so many other things that we do. So Welocity Genetics started way back in 2016. We started our business in 2017. We are into predictive world of human genetic disorders. So genetic sequencing, predictive genetic sequencing is what we do. We also have an institute where we teach people what really is genetics and epigenetics. So this is a management. So I'm supported as a chairman, managing director, with a team of people who are into the field of genetics for over a decade. And then we also have our medical genetic counselors. So they take turn and then do various kinds of activities, whether it is teaching CCNG, certificate course in nutrigenomics, or doing counseling to our customers. We also have a medical advisory board, which also talks about how genetics is more relevant for people who already have medical conditions. You can see some of their videos in our YouTube, and some of them also will be now doing webinars in the next future. So how do we go about this entire program? This is you need to buy a saliva sample based DNA kit. We send it to you across the world through courier, and then you watch the videos which we have in YouTube in multiple languages to how to give your saliva sample, follow the procedure, and then send it to us. We send your saliva sample to the DNA labs, and then we extract your genetic information, which will be put together in a genetic report. Now here we mentioned it's a PDF. Of course, you will get a PDF of your summary, which could be around 50 pages. But now you will be getting your digital dashboard. So that means you can, using your user ID password, can go to the website and then access your phenotypes or your genetic information. And today we are giving more than 300 phenotypes in 2023 onwards. Then our genetic counselors will be in action. So they will connect with you on phone or through video conferencing or with this kind of Zooms, and then explain to you the whole genetic information, your strengths, weaknesses, your do's and don'ts. So they're going to have a counseling session with you, not a consult where they'll simply tell you what they know. They'll actually go to counsel you and then correct you where the things needs to be corrected. And we will then we'll be giving you the corrections as to what are the things that you need to be very, very careful about, what alerts that you need to have, and then what's the food that we need to be eating. So gene-based diet plan is what you will get. And then for the next 1 year, you will get your wellness help desk assistance, and your genetic information electronically will be shared, stored with us for the next 6 years. Just to give you a glimpse of what kind of phenotypes we are doing or what kind of a test we are doing, we'll check your cholesterol and lipid profile, hypertension risk, and myocardial infarction, etc. So there is a cardiac health panel. So then there is an organ health panel. There are 10 tests. There are inflammatory diseases. Just to give you a glimpse of what we are doing. Neurological disorders. Okay. Then your eating disorders. Do you munch so many things throughout the day, or you're eating heavy food, or you're not a good early riser and a breakfast guy, you just skip that. All this traits you will be able to understand from your report. Drug response, as I told you, what's the right medicine for you also. This is basically pharmacogenomics. Your doctor would make more sense of this, but you will still get a kind of a panel where you will be able to understand this. What kind of exercise you should be in, fitness and injury risk. So you will be able to get this kind of thing. So this is our typical report would look like. So you have 22 panels, there are subcategories, and you will have 300 plus phenotypes. So based on your age, if you're a child, you're a woman, women or a male, the number of phenotypes slightly change. So this is how the report looks like. And this is how the emojis that you will be getting. Right now, what we will be doing is that in the new reports, which are up, probably will be uploaded tomorrow, hopefully. Our digital IT work is almost complete. We are just working for a SSL certification, which will happen tonight or tomorrow. So the first batch of reports from Germany have already arrived, and you will be able to get them. And our nutrigenomic counselors are being trained. So we already completed 2 sessions, and there are 2 more sessions that we have planned for them. So the experts are actually training them as well, and then I do attend as well. So these kind of emojis that you will get, these kind of indicators you will get. So where we will also mention to you as to every phenotype, every genotype, and the markers, and which are the genes that we have tested. So as far as obesity is concerned, we are testing as many as 23 different genes. So it's a polygenic situation. So you will see that if you take a printout of this report, it probably might run now into 1,000 pages. So we are doing digital profile. These are some of the VIPs who have completed their genetic sequencing with us. They're extremely happy with our services. And there are so many medical conditions that we've been able to solve. So something, testimonies, some, these are very old ones. So you can see some of the images that they have. They had this kind of allergies or infections. This is, alopecia. You lose, the hair in patches, and then there is no, medication as far as, available. So you just change your diet, and then look at this. After 6 months, we had this kind of result. So you're looking younger. You're looking much more slimmer, because you're losing a lot of fat content, because you will be eating the right food. You look, much younger. And this is also my picture in 2018, and the same year I lost a lot of weight just by following the gene-based diet plan. So friends, what I'm trying to do here is that people who have called you here, please talk to them. They'll probably be able to give you more information. And you can also watch similar videos of various Zoom meetings, etc. In our YouTube channel. So you can simply go to velocitygenetics.com, WELOCITY, velocitygenetics.com. And we also offer this course, CCNG, and the batch 11 has already started. We've got a fantastic set of students from across the world, and we'll be, for the next 2 months, we'll be training them. So friends, the best investment, they say, is in education and in health, because it's never a waste. It's going to give you rich dividends. So I'm sure I've been able to, touch upon a few things. I still need to settle down with my Zoom. I can see myself too bigger than what I usually look like. So thank you so much for being here. We'll be back again with another topic next week, probably on 17th or 18th, possibly on 17th, Tuesday, and we'll be sending you the invite. So please attend, invite your people, and then try to understand what the genetic world holds for all of us. It's going to be fantastic next 5 years. Just follow it, get benefit from the science for yourself, and also explain this to people. And I think we need, today in the webinar, I understood that India is producing only 20 clinical genomic per annum, genomic experts per annum, 20 for 120 crores. Precisely means that there are not enough people who understand genetics, including the medical fraternity. I was speaking to a government officer who is asking me, does it happen like this? I said, look, sir, your expertise is different, but forget you as a layperson. There are, medical fraternity doctor asking, does it happen like that, like this? Because they're completely unaware. And most of the doctors, humble doctors, actually admit, saying that we have not studied genetics. There were only a paragraph. And in about nutrition, there was only 1 chapter. So if you talk about nutrition to medical doctor, we have Dr. Aviva Isaac, so she'll also vouch for this, that they have not studied, nutrition or genetics much in their syllabus. So we have a lot to do, and we have a lot to contribute. So thank you very much. I'm up. Time is up. So look forward for your continuous, presence and participation in the future webinars as well. Thank you very much. Bye-bye and good night.